Hi everybody, my name's Traci Cornelius from Get Creative with Traci. I'd really like to welcome you to March's technique class and to really thank so many of you for joining and also giving your positive feedback from last month. So I'm really looking forward to developing this series and to showing you a number of different things that you can do with certain stamp sets. So for March's technique class we are using the Polka Dot Pieces stamp set. So in your class products you will receive the whole stamp set as well as your project pieces, and they've all got a coordinating paper clip, and that's to make it easier throughout the instruction for today. So let's just have a look through some of the projects that we're going to make. So first off, we're making this super cute little birdhouse, which will make a perfect little Easter present. So you could pop in your little mini eggs inside or whatever it is that you want to pop in. So that's going to be the first project that we're going to make. We're then going to be moving on to a step Mother's Day card. And this one is really cute. And I'm really excited to be able to show you how to use our very new fringe scissors as well, which works really well for this particular card. And then the last project we're going to create is this super simple flower card, which is just very stunning, and it just shows you again another way that you can use the stamp set. And I think you'll agree that all of these, even though we're using one stamp set, are completely unique. So first of all, to make our little birdhouse, you're going to take the project section that's got the green paper clip, and that's got a number of sections that have been cut out for you. So first and foremost, we have a piece of A5 baked brown sugar, and this is going to be the base of our box. We are then going to use a piece of early espresso, and this is 1 5/8 by 4 inches. Then we've got a piece of So Saffron, which is 4 inches by 1 inch. And then we've got a piece of Whisper White, and I've cut this one to 2.5 inches by 3 inches, and this is so that we can do some stamping on. Now the other products that you're going to need for this is the wood grain stamp. That's what creates this beautiful wood effect on the box. We're also going to be using the Fancy Fan embossing folder, and that's to create this roof detail. And we're also going to be using the dotted ribbon border punch to create this little scalloped detail at the end. And that's this one here. So all of these products are really easy to get hold of if you don't already have them. You can just purchase them from my online store at www.getcreativewithtraci.stampinup.net. Excuse me. Okay, so as far as inks are concerned, we're going to be using soft suede, and we're going to be using that in the ink pad. And then we're going to use some Stampin' Right markers. So we're going to be using So Saffron, Soft Suede, Always Artichoke, and also Early Espresso. Now you can change the colours if you would like to change the colour of the bird or what have you. That's entirely up to you. I'm just going to show you how to put the elements together. So the first step is to create our box, and to do that we're going to be using the milk carton die from Stampin' Up, which you can buy in the catalogue, and it's number 117310. This one's got a multitude of different uses and is still one of my favourite dies that we currently do. So just going to bring in the Big Shot machine. And for this one, we actually only need the cutting plates. So pop one cutting plate on the bottom, your die over the top, and then your piece of A5 baked brown sugar, again over the top. You'll see that fits perfectly. And then one of the other cutting plates, and you just want to pop this into the Big Shot machine until it takes, and then just scroll it through. And once you've done that, you can just remove the excess, and then you are left with your little milk carton die. So before I do any folding or anything else like that, I'm going to be using the wood grain stamp to create the detail. So I'm just taking out our largest block. This is block F, and this is the one that you're going to need for this particular stamp. Just mount that on, press down into place. To make it a little bit more secure, you can push it down onto your grid paper. Okay, just pressing that into place. And then we're going to ink that up with our soft suede. So just adding a generous amount of ink all over. And then I'm going to line the stamp up at the bottom and just slightly off the edge and stamp out. You will need to add another section just at the end. And you could use a Stamp-A-Majig if you wanted to try and line it up perfectly, but if it overlaps slightly, that just kind of adds to the pattern anyway. So once you've done that, you can really start to work out how your box is going to go together. Now, as you can see, we've already got a circle which has been removed from this box, and for this you can either use the 1-inch punch or you can use a circle framelit. For this one, I'm going to show you how to use if you're going to be using a punch, because it is slightly different. With a circle framelit, you can just line it up and pop it through the Big Shot machine. But if you're using a circle punch, you've obviously got the flap in the way. So you'll need to fold that backwards and then put your punch in and punch through both sections. Now, if you push it all the way in, then that does mean that the circle can be a little bit closer to the top. And I have found that to be a little bit better. It's a little bit fluffy. Than if you're doing it slightly lower down. I'm just going to pop that through again, because if you can see that I've just got a couple of fluffy edges there. May need to sharpen my punch. If you do need to sharpen a punch, all you need to do is just pop some tin foil through. There you go. And that gives us the perfect little opening for our little birdhouse. Now I'm going to pop this together with some sticky tape, purely because as a box, and because I'm going to be filling it, it does mean excuse me, that I want the bond to be quite strong. So you're only going to need to put adhesive onto 3 sides of the box. And you're also going to need to add adhesive in the entire strip at the side. Now before I adhere all this together, I'm just going to crease our fold lines. And that's so it makes it a lot easier when we're going to fold this and pop it all together. Okay, so the first one I'm going to do is the side one. And then I find it easier to fold this over and then fold the other section, and then that always makes sure that it's lined up. And we can just fold that into place. And again now we can remove the backing . To pop the other sections into place. So obviously the one that we haven't added adhesive to is the one that's going to go to the very, very top. It's going to be the last one that we put on. So there's the basis of our box. And now you're going to push in at the top, and that creates our little milk carton. Now you will need to adhere this, so again I'm going to put a line of sticky strip on both edges as well. You could use multi-purpose adhesive for this, which is the little wet glue, but you will need to hold it into place while it's doing that. Now there's two different ways you can do the insert. You can either add whatever contents you want now, or if you've left enough of a gap, if the bird's slightly further down, then you can add it afterwards. It really is entirely up to you. For most people they might find it easier to put the contents in now, but just to make this for the ease of videoing, I'll do mine later. It can be a little bit trickier getting the backing off once you've put this on the inside, but it does come off eventually. My little tip is if it's really difficult to come off, just smooth it down with your nail or the end of the scissors, and that just helps the bond so that you can then release the other section, which keeps you from getting all tape on you. Excellent, so that's the basis, and now we're going to be creating our little elements. So the other thing that you want to do is to pop this one through the Big Shot machine again, except we're going to be using the embossing folder this time. Now when you're using the embossing folder, you want to bear in mind how you want these to come across. So if this is a roof, you obviously want the fans sections to be going from the top down towards the bottom. So that means that you want it in this direction. So if you pop your piece of cardstock in, you want to make sure that you're putting it in at the top, going lengthways. And you want to try and line that up as much as possible. And just bring the Big Shot machine back in, and this time you will need your multi-purpose platform. And you'll want to make sure that it goes onto tab 1. So just move over tab 2, pop it underneath the machine, cutting plate over the top, and then you want your embossing folder, and then your next cutting plate over the top, and then just scroll all the way up through. And once that's done, you've got a really beautiful effect that you can use for the roof. So to then create our little scallops at the end, we're going to pop this through to the dotted ribbon border punch. Now for some of you, you may have seen this project before, and that's because it is actually in the catalogue. It's in our main catalogue and you'll be able to see it in a different colourway. So when you're doing the ribbon border punch, you just want to move it along until you match up the pattern. So can you see here it's matched up? So for example, if I did this, there we go, it's matched up again. So you know exactly where to punch. You just match it up each time that you move it along. And then you can keep doing that until you've done the entire strip. So just cut that loose. And then you can discard the little bits. So when we're popping our roof section together, you want to fold it in half. And then these bits are going to go along the bottom. And you just want to make sure that you're doing that so you're covering the holes. So for this, I'm actually going to use the multi-purpose adhesive. And I'll try not to make it too wet, so I'm really spreading that glue out. Lining it up, and then I can just press it down into place, trim off the excess, and then I'm going to do exactly the same for the other side. I'm just going to try and match up the pattern to either side just so that it's even, and then I can again just trim off the excess. And that's why the piece of cardstock was cut to 4 inches, so that you've got leeway and that it can then match up. So once you've done that, we can then adhere the roof on. Now the roof should be a little bit bigger, only a tiny bit, just so that it then fits on perfectly. I find it easier again to use the multi-purpose adhesive, but again you can use whatever you feel comfortable with. You could use sticky strip. I like using this one because it just gives me a little bit more leeway so I can position it once I put it on. But you will need to, if you're using this type of glue, you will need to really press it down into place and hold the top as well. If you want, you could put little tiny pegs on and that would just hold it down into place as well while the glue just takes. But you know, you're not having to hold it down for a very long period of time. It really is fairly quick, just a few seconds. Excellent, so you can see that our little birdhouse is really kind of coming together now. That's super cute. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is mount your bird stamp onto the acrylic block, and we're using acrylic block D. And this is why we're going to be using the Stampin' Up markers. And that's so that we can make each section a different colour. So we're starting off with So Saffron and just colouring the bird just all the way across, and then soft suede for the wing. And again, like I said, you don't have to use these colours, you could change them around to suit your personal style. I like doing the branch a little bit darker, so I'm using Early Espresso for that. And that can just go right the way across. And then Always Artichoke. I like this one because it's a bit more of a muted green. If you want a brighter green, you could use Gumball Green or anything else like that. Old Olive is a really nice one to use as well. Okay, so once you've done that, you're just going to stamp that out onto your Whisper White. And then we're going to be using the Bird Builder punch to punch out all the different pieces. which is fantastic because then there's no cutting required. If you don't have a bird builder punch, you can cut these out by hand. However, if you do have one of these, it does make it so much easier. I'm just going to cut the corner off because of how I stamped mine, so that I can fit it in really well. So you can see all we need to do then is just line it up and then punch out, and then we can start popping the little pieces together. So for this I will actually use Stampin' Dimensionals, just so again I can have a little bit more definition. You can curl the wing a little bit as well if you want to, that's entirely up to you. Just pop a little Stampin' Dimensional onto the back. It's a perfect size as well, so, and you can, again, you can design the bird however you want. You can have the wing so that it's sat flush with the bird, or that it's going up so it looks like it's flying a little bit. That's entirely up to you. Now for the leaves and the little twig, I tend to work out before I cut off the excess. I work out exactly where I want it to go. And then for this one, again, I'm going to use the multi-purpose adhesive and just pop a little bit onto the back of a couple of the leaves and a little bit of the stem. And now I can position that. I quite like it when it overlaps onto the yeah, I think that looks quite cute. So I'm going to pop another Stampin' Dimensional onto the back. I'm just going to remove the excess, and then I can position the bird on as well, like so. So you can see, you know, every time you do one it's going to look slightly different depending on how you pop it together, but I really like them. And if you really wanted to, you could have, you know, a couple of leaves coming off. As you can see with this one, I've also coloured the eye. I just used the soft suede just to fill in the little detail of the eye, just like that. And that one finishes that off. So there you go, there's how to make a little birdhouse using the milk carton die, and again we're just finishing that off with the polka dot pieces. So the next project that we're going to make is our Mother's Day card.